I'm doing this Genius in Action program in Thailand, and in the evening I get a call from a member from my sales team, and she says, Antano, I really want you to talk to this person right now. And I was surprised because I generally do my consultations in person, but this colleague was insisting that I do a Skype call. So I get on a call. This is a girl from Mumbai, and she says, well, I need to make some decisions in my life right now because I don't want to waste time in my life. I said, okay, so how can I help you? And she starts talking to me about her life journey, how she is not sticking on to any one thing, and she's jumping from one thing to another, and wasting time, and people around her are also telling her, why is your mind jumping and not focused and committed to any one thing yet? And she sounded very troubled because she was genuinely scared where she was going to go with her life. And as I was talking to her, she kept repeating this line again and again, that, what it seems to be before you do something is so different from what it is after you start doing it. And she approached the entire thing as if it is a terribly bad thing to try something out and then to try something else. Because in our culture, in our society, we tell people, to decide what they want to be in their life right at a young age. And then we expect that they stick to it and then continue their life 40, 50, doing the same thing and growing within that particular profession. But let's think about this practically for a moment. How many of us really discovered what we want to do when we were young? There are so many things in life where we think this is it, and then we start doing it, and then we realize the reality, the world, is so different from those fantasies we thought about what we are getting into. Now, what this girl was doing was actually a very, very, very beautiful thing, because a lot of times what people do is they start doing something and then they realize, I don't like it. But then instead of quickly getting out of it, they spend 2 years, 3 years thinking, maybe I'll begin to like it. And after 3-4 years, there's a financial commitment and there is some loop that they get into that they can't really quit. So what happens is 6-7 years, 9 years, 10 years go by, and then finally they get fed up and then they jump into another thing. And then again, they jump into it without fully knowing what it is, and again another 10 years is wasted. So I asked her, I said, so she got into this particular field of image consulting, and she said it looked fancy in the beginning, but as soon as she started doing it, she said that is not what she enjoyed at all. And I asked her, would you have rather continued, had the discipline to persist, do it for another 10 years, feel terrible about it, and then quit? She said, no, that would be a waste of time. And then I said, well, so would you agree with me that you have actually saved 10 years of your life by deciding fast and quick enough? Now this completely changed her opinion, because she went back into all the things that she jumped from, one after the other, and then she realized that the fact that she didn't stay on to it was actually saving years of her life. So she started with the frame of, I'm wasting my life, I'm wasting time, and she realized very quickly that she wasn't wasting, she was saving years of her life. What she was doing was making decisions based on reality instead of making decisions based on what she thought things were. Now this helped her to put things in perspective. Now once she realized what she was doing, she was no longer ashamed of jumping from one thing to another, because she's young and she has a lot of passions and she can explore what is actually going to benefit her the most. And a lot of times, we think that we have to choose one passion and go about it. So I meet a lot of people who come and tell me, I don't know, there are so many things that I want to do. I am confused of which one should I pick. Now that's a terrible question to start with. why do you have to pick one thing? You think about geniuses from all walks of life. You look at Einstein, you look at Newton, you look at Steve Jobs. People who change the world, who create amazing things, are not just talented in one thing, they're talented in multiple things. Einstein was not just a physician, he was a poet, he was a musician. In the middle of physics seminars, he would stop to play the violin. Newton made sculptures, the finest of them. Steve Jobs is not just a businessman doing Apple computers, he was very good, very fine with typography. The reason that we see that fonts that are so beautiful on a computer is beautiful today is because Steve Jobs invented something that most people missed, and that came from art. So if you just look back at history, you notice geniuses don't just pursue one thing. And this complete mindset about, you have to be a master of one or jack of all trades is a bunch of rubbish, because the reality of history shows us that people who are game changers are good in multiple things. So when you have a variety of passion, your life is not any of them. It's something that is larger than all of it together. And the beautiful thing is, you don't know what this combination is going to lead to. Thankfully, because if you knew, then life would be boring. But then you explore the variety of passions you have, and they all combine together to create something that is larger than all of that, larger than you together. And that is how everything you do contributes. So the other thing that I made this girl realize is I made her become aware that just because she's jumped from one to another doesn't mean she's wasted all of those things. It means that whatever she's going to do is going to benefit from her experience of being in so many different things. So finally, she wanted to explore change work, and that's what she did. She came to me after that, and she learned how to produce behavioral changes in people quickly. And right now she's happy doing it, and she just conducted a seminar where she combined image consulting with excellence installation, and as of now it's working for her. But after a year from now, if she looks back and she decides that, hey, change work is not for me, then I would still recommend her to go out and explore what is for her. Because if you look at history again, you would notice that innovations comes from combining a variety of things together. People who have created amazing stuff. It could be the vaccine for polio. It could be the first car. These innovations didn't come from people who were specialists in just that field. It came from people who brought in the strengths of one into another. So a lot of times, we think of certain things as mistakes, but because the society has framed things like that way. But really, if you look at it again and if you ask, really, is it a mistake? You might notice that maybe it's not, maybe it's a gift. Another example I have about how sometimes we think of something as a mistake, but it could be a gift, is the common situation that I have with parents. Like this parent brought in their son, and they said that he is not studying and spending time with his books. So I got very concerned, because this guy is not studying. What is his future going to be? So I start coaching them, and I say, okay, so how much do you want him to achieve? How much do you want him to score? And they say, no, that's not a problem. He's already topping the class. So I couldn't make sense of what they're saying. I said, wait, you're saying he's not studying, but he's topping the class. What is the problem? They said, no, we want him to spend more time with the books. And then I asked them, do you mean to say you're asking me to help your son become less efficient? The parents just couldn't understand what I said. For a moment they were blanked out. And they said, no, what we mean is, I said, I know what you mean. You want to see him sit and study like every other child and then get the same rank. They said, yes, he's getting the rank. That's not a problem. But we want him to not waste time and sit and study. And I said, do you know what that means? And they asked, what does that mean? I said, that means that you're taking a genius that you have as a son and making him average. Now this shocked the parents, and for the first time they thought of it as, if my son is able to study for a few minutes and top the class, that's a mark of a genius. Why should we destroy that? But then of course, they were parents, they had concerns as to, he's wasting his time. You see, now that's another problem to solve. So I told them, if he's anyway topping the class and he has a lot of time to spare, why not use that time to develop other aspects of his life? So we asked the son, what do you want to do? And the son said that he's very interested in learning to paint. And I told the parents that if your concern is he shouldn't waste time, why not allow him to explore his talents of painting? And surprisingly so, not only was he topping the class even after learning painting, but his ability to understand the subjects and his performance improved significantly. And the painting made him more creative, made him more happy, and that allowed him to study with more ease, and that gave more time for him, and that allowed him to do more of painting. So this is the solution to the problem that the parents presented as, the son is wasting a lot of time. But if you think about it carefully, a lot of times we could have killed the genius in the child by asking him to take more time to study what he was studying in such a short time. This is just another example again of how sometimes things that we think as a problem is not a problem, it's a gift. And the reason we may not recognize it as a gift is because it's an unusual gift that is so different from what most people have around us. So I hope this is helpful. I'll see you soon in the next video.